What is up, guys? The live show is back. I have got my Costco cookies, and you can tell they're almost gone. And I've been trying this, with them. It makes the mouth a little bit dry. I ran out of milk, so just simple Costco water, like shit, freaking Costco. Oh, dang it! I dropped an explicit word not even 30 seconds into the live stream. That is bad. They're going to demonetize me. It's going to be explicit. Freaking YouTube algorithm. But I digress. Because I was actually pretty impressed with the track. Nobody hit the walls. The track was incredibly fast. The walls were still there. They still have potential. And so I hope that maybe next year they move away from Charlotte Speedway and they go to something else, because you don't want that to happen. I got my cat in the background. Zuena. Shh. She's like, you're being way too freaking loud here. Sexton. Man, KTM, they sure got lucky with that boy. You've got freaking Hunter and Jett taking over the HRC Honda. And man, if I was Honda, I would be going, we should have paid more. Because I'm going to say it, the Supercross king. Yes, McGrath is the king, but as far as the reigning king is Chase Sexton. And he pretty much made that happen today. Here, let's just look at those lap times real quick. Here, if we can see, you've got Sexton at a 114.7 and Jett at a 115. Jett was absolutely on fire that second moto. And honestly, speaking of the whole dynamic, I enjoyed it. Even though the track was fairly one line, and if you were to make passes, they had to be very fast and somewhat aggressive. Like, you didn't want to actually touch because of how fast you were going. I thought that the 20 minutes was perfect. 2 motos at 20 minutes. I think motocross should go to even 3 motos at 20 minutes. That would be more exciting, because what I have to say about this is what in motocross Jett was above Chase in was the starts. He was always in front of him. And here, both motos, Chase, even though he didn't get as good of a start that second moto, he was in front of Jett, who was, up until this point, the fastest guy on the track, fastest qualifier. But now Sexton has proven that he can do it. He's got a little bit better form. And if I changed a little bit to the 250s, Tom did amazing, because it felt more of like a GP-style track. Really no whoops. And truthfully, I got to give it up to Stewart, man. Stewart knows his doo-doo. That's the word I should have used at the beginning of this, because the bikes are set up for Supercross, and still, in that second moto, you had these guys casing that giant quad and blah, blah, blah. They went softer, but those bikes were still able to soak it up, which is ridiculous to me. I kind of said it in my track analysis deal. I thought that they were going to run different gearing as far as for the speed, and then they were probably going to go a little bit softer eventually, and that's what they needed to do. Jett looked better on the softer stuff in the second moto, because it turned into more of a slippery, hard-packed track, where at the beginning they just soaked the crap out of it, and then it just started getting hard packed and real choppy from there. So Stewart, right on par with his suspension quote that he had doing, and I'm impressed. Even Carmichael had some analysis in there with Sexton getting sideways, or was it AP? I think it might have been Sexton getting sideways off the little corner rut where it was totally it was almost at like a 90, and then it jumped. I thought that was exquisite. But truthfully, I thought it was a good hybrid motocross and supercross track. It had to have been fast, and it had some gnarly sections to it, but they had a wall in the middle of the big Red Bull rhythm to slow it down. And I think that is Red Bull. You guys are the man, because people are taking your ideas, and that's pretty much just what had happened. The split lane, I thought the split lane was going to be just that inside, and because you didn't have to pop over the tabletop, but it ended up the track working in to where the inside split lane, you had to slow down at the exit, and then the other one on the outside, you could actually make it work cutting people up on the inside. If I get more towards a little bit of the points here so that we can pay a little bit of attention to this, because it's a little confusing, right? So these guys, whoever was the winner of the points at that point before this playoff, the rules were pretty much 25. Do I have the rule book open? Nope, that's for this. It pretty much kind of went this direction all the way to the 20th, right? Is Chase was 25, 22, 20, blah, 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 blah. That's how your top 20 were seeded. And then now this race was a typical Supercross where it's just 25, 22, 20, etc. And that's how we end up with these points now, where Chase has got a 12-point lead. But that could be easily taken out because of the next round is basically worth 2 full races, and then the final is worth 3 full races, which is crazy. The one thing I didn't quite understand, and here in the rule book, it talks about seeding the top 20, and then outside of the top 20, you're going into the LCQ, and, there's points are pretty much set to 0. That's what they said. But anyone that finished right now, here, where the heck am I? Here. Anyone that finished outside of there, are they still going to the LCQ? Something like Austin Faulkner, where is Austin? If I go to results, all results, I think I was at it. Oh, man, no. Dang it, they're going to take me to this thing. Austin Faulkner, I think he's 17th place right now, so I would think that he doesn't need to do the LCQ qualifying for the next round. But on the broadcast, it made it seem like he did, but he's got enough points now. He's inside that top 20 there because of this Super Motocross points. Okay, here's the standings. Yeah, what am I talking about? Here we go. Faulkner, he's 17th currently. So in my opinion, he doesn't have to race the LCQ. He just goes straight into the night show in the qualifying. Oh. And then one thing that I thought was very interesting on the track was the split start, right? The split start, I was thinking the right-hand side was going to be better. And in the 250 class, it was. The whole shot came from the guys that could drag the rear brake. In the 450 class, however, both hole shots basically tie came from the left-hand side. I thought that was kind of interesting. I thought they were all going to come, at least 3 of the 4, coming from the outside. And speaking of tie, damn, he was in second place at second moto for the first 5 minutes. The dude with appendicitis is very scary. I said it in the live show. He's making some money, but could you imagine if he was healthy? If he was freaking healthy, he could get a good payday and get it done. Speaking of getting it done, I got to shout out to today's video sponsor. You got Precision Transport, whether you need to move heavy equipment, a bunch of totaled bikes or totaled cars, or if you're moving, you just got some heavy stuff and you need some freight transportation, call these guys. They are into jiu-jitsu, and they also sponsor some riders, so they help out the community a bunch. So make sure you call 877-827-0618. Make sure you tell them I sent you. They can hook you up. Okay, next thing I want to talk about is the money. The money, right? They were talking all about it. As far as $100,000, that's $1 million. And does this go over more? It is not. Yeah, it's essentially it, but it's $100,000 for first place, $50,000 for second place for the purse because they had $400,000, and this is that $5.5 million of everything going to 22nd place, which I think is super sweet. However, it's very misleading as well. Still, $100,000 to win a Supercross is much better than the $16,000 they had. And so for, I wish I would have had it up front more. Are they going to show it here? No, they're showing that. See, they show the final points funding, but they're not showing the purse funding in the rule book. Very, very, very interesting. Well, I guess I will move on and talk about Jett actually getting defeated. That first moto, you could tell that suspension or something was bugging him, and he even might have been tight, because did you see his tear-offs? His tear-offs looked like they were flapping in the wind, and that usually happens when you pull like 40 of them, and they're just sitting there. You didn't clip both of the clips, which is a big bummer. Second moto, he made up for it, had the adjustment, and so there's that giant clash there between Sexton and Jett. And at this point, I'm kind of rooting for the underdog with Sexton to make sure that, hey, he kind of flips the bird a little bit to Honda as he leaves. Like, truthfully, you don't want to make enemies at all, and you want to leave on good terms, but it's got to feel good inside to where if you beat the guys that are replacing you, essentially, it just has to be good. And speaking of different riders, Cooper Webb. He looks kind of like Dylan Ferrandis at the beginning of the motocross season. Dylan actually looks like he's toned up. You can see his jawline again. So he's lost some weight. He's been getting on the bicycle. He's been doing lots of stuff to get in better race shape. It seemed like at the motocross start of the season, he was just going to race himself into shape. He definitely looks in better shape. Cooper Webb looks like he's getting ready for Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, maybe not unfortunately, that little bit extra weight can help, because if you're going up against guys like Sexton who are 220, I think he's really more like 180. But anyway, he's a brick house compared to the other riders. I thought it was interesting that he might not have been as in good a shape as somebody like Ken Roczen, who has kept in shape because he's getting ready for the World Supercross at the end of the year. Speaking of that, dude, the Suzuki looks good. I'm still not going to buy one. I'd still rather buy a Stark before I buy a Suzuki. And at this point, I'm kind of looking at a Triumph, depending upon what the price is on that stuff. Who knows? It might be way too much. We need to see some reviews and go from there. But, that's a 250. I don't really want a 250, so it's probably going to be the Stark bike. Anyway, Kenny, getting it done. Just out front, smooth as a whistle. Hitting the quad, which that quad was, I believe it was quad, triple, then quad again, which that was just nuts to me. Absolutely just freaking nuts to me. Do I think he could have potentially held on to second place? Yes, I do. But that guy, to me, is getting ready for the World Supercross stuff, where he's pretty much gotten paid $3 million for a couple years in there. And with them having new investors, that is good money. That is good money. I believe they probably have already paid him. There's probably something in a contract where if he doesn't race, he has to give some of it back. So he needs to make sure that he stays healthy. If I switch over to the 250s and maybe talk a little bit about the bikes, the lights. They tried this earlier in Supercross where, was it Nicoletti? Was he the guy that was out front for a while that had the lights and everybody was like, what the heck is going on? I think that is a good integration. It looked like it worked well this round, where whenever somebody's got past, you could see the triple clamps. You really couldn't see the light that much on Chase's bike. I don't know if it was just a Honda. I don't know if the yellow light didn't really mesh with the red. I don't know. It was some sort of weird fusion. The front number plate was too big. I don't know. It was harder to see, but you could definitely see it on the little bikes. That's for sure. Hunter, 250s. Man, he dropped the boat big time on this one. Fell down a couple times. It makes you wonder, is there a nagging injury? I'm just saying it. Is there something that is nagging? Has he been practicing more on the 450 because he's going to do Supercross? Like, what's going on here? Interesting. Deegan looks fast as hell. The guy honestly looks not like a little kid. He looks like he's in his early 20s, truthfully, like with how he's built. We all know his dad is always been a fitness phenom, so I'm sure it's genetics. And that guy knows how to get in shape, and pretty much once you get into the pro ranks, he's pretty much proven that he's in shape. He had the fastest qualifying time the first time out there. The kid is fast. I think he just needs to get some little bit better starts. He said that he was bruised and hurt from some of his crashes. That crash where he scrubbed and hit the foot peg was nuts. This track looked as if these guys weren't standing up as much on the pegs because of the speed. Yes, this honestly seemed a little bit faster than a motocross track because a typical motocross track, the bumps slow you down. And if we saw in Moto 2, Jett was starting to hop over some more stuff, but I didn't see as many guys stand up on the pegs. Yeah, they were flat corners and whatnot. You know, there's a few little variables in there, but I think that this was a win for a hybrid round. Absolutely freaking win. Talked about Tom, talked about Hunter. I really don't know if I have anything left to say on here. Pretty much, I think I got it all, guys. I think I got it all. So, hey, I've got some good notes here. We're going to make, of course, the Creative Lines, the podcast next week, maybe a couple extra videos in there. And so that will do it. The giveaway already happened. That'll be the beginning of next month for the Patreon and the channel members. So it is Saturday night. What am I going to do on a Saturday night? Oh, it's the UFC fight. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go watch some people get punched in the face. Till next time, keep it WFO. Bra-da-da-da-da-whoa.